Every year around January, I like to take a few days to ramble around hiking and camping in the National Forest in Redlands WMA near my home in Georgia. Redlands contains pine forest and hardwood bottoms interspersed with small open fields. A good bit of my 4 days this year was spent simply bushwhacking from place to place through the woods. There are no mountains here, but you do have to walk up hills now and then, sometimes to interesting rock outcroppings. There's a good bit of history to be found in these woods as well. There's the official and officially protected Skull Shoals Historic Site on the Oconee River. But there are also the occasional random old rock and brick chimneys just looming out of the undergrowth. On this 4-day trip, I found not one, not two, not three, but 4 old home sites lost in the woods from years past, at least one of which was a double fireplace, front and back, made to heat 2 rooms of the same home. If you find these, leave them as you found them and don't tell anyone where they are. Let others have the fun of searching them out if they're willing to walk. It got chilly at night, so my mornings usually started with a cup of coffee to warm me up. My DIY alcohol stove is simple and dependable. Just pour in the alcohol fuel, light the stove, put the water on, let the water boil, add the water to the instant coffee, and take that first warm sip. After that quick breakfast, I was usually walking again, exploring. Sometimes you find your way obstructed by a creek or a gully. If it's a small one, you can just step across. Other times you'll be able to rock hop and keep your feet dry. And sometimes there's even a bridge to get you to the other side. Now, I'll admit that wading a muddy creek in January is not my idea of great fun, but sometimes that is the only way to cross one of these things. It does give me great incentive to keep hiking, though, since that's the only way to dry out those shoes and socks. Every once in a while, though, you may find a gully with a creek that can't be jumped or waded. That's when you may have to log walk your way across. I'll be the first to tell you that this is not the safest way to get across one of these, but it's often the shortest, most direct route. Sometimes I'll consider the size and apparent stability of the log and just go for it. On my Redlands Ramble, I usually walk all morning, but then when noon comes, midday usually finds me warming up in the sunshine, enjoying a leisurely lunch with no other human being in sight or sound of me. Absolutely perfect. But after that, I'm walking again, enjoying the woods and the fields. If you've ever let a helium balloon go and watched it float away, where does it end up? They don't just float off to balloon heaven. No, they'll quickly pop or slowly leak, and down they come, too often in the middle of an otherwise pristine landscape, where they stick out like the trash they've become until somebody else has to come along, gather the balloon up, tote it out to be properly disposed of. If you have a balloon, pop it when you're done, trash it yourself, don't let it go. By 4 o'clock or so every afternoon, I'm usually pretty tired and sore, so it's time to set up camp. Since I sleep in a hammock, it goes up first, followed by the underquilt for bottom insulation. I'll add an underquilt protector, which is a separate piece of fabric that helps cut down heat lost to the wind and keeps me toasty all night long. And at day's end, a few minutes of lounging before supper does feel so nice. Since I like to eat supper while there's still some daylight left, I'll typically eat around 5 p.m. or so. First boiling my water, then adding that to my dehydrated meal. I prefer a hot meal when the January night is forecast to be cold. Then, after supper and any other camp chores, it's back to the hammock to relax and eventually to sleep. If you've never tried it, sleeping outside under the stars in a hammock is worth the steep learning curve to get it right. Those January nights can leave your gear frosty, but then there's that sunrise to make me glad I came. But too soon, it's time to pack up the rest of that frosty gear and set off on the short walk home. It sure was fun. Remember, you can do it too. Get yourself outside. I'll see you.